Okay. So, a lot of things have been happening. A lot of things have been happening. It's been very interesting. Um, the energy is very interesting. New energies. New energies. But yeah. The universe has a blessing for you. But you gotta listen, gotta follow through. The universe has a blessing for you. But when God calls, you have to be used. The rest of today, right? When? The rest of today is going to be used for conservation, consignment of self, right? Everywhere else, right? Today was about like understanding boundaries and like learning when to be and when not to be, right? And where to be, what to do, what decisions to make, right? It's a very interesting day. And so, yeah. I didn't want to go anywhere today, right? But I was called outside the house so that I could bless some people. And I got a blessing. I made something. So, right? Like, yeah. I made a little drink and I got blessed with inspiration when I decided that I was gonna move and go out the house, make some moves, right? And then I was on my way home and this person, right, who I'm guessing they're unhoused. I'm not sure if they're in active addiction. I saw them twice and they didn't recognize me the second time. But also it could have not been that they didn't recognize me. It could have been that like they were just stuck in their story. And so this interaction gave me a lot of lessons and a lot of blessings. And so I want to share. One thing is that one of the messages that came out through today is that people want to affirm their current reality, right? Which I get really tired of. I get really sick and tired of. I know in this spiritual space and all that, like I get really mad sometimes when people are like, because I'm always reframing, and I'm just so used to it at this point. So when people are saying things that are limiting, right? And like if I call myself limitlessly, bruh, like even when I say things that are limiting, I'm like, cut that shit out, you know? So just understanding that you don't always have to call people on their bullshit. And not necessarily call them on their bullshit, but call them on that. Sometimes people want to just be seen and heard in that moment, right? In their current state, in their current reality, and they want to express that. And I definitely have moments like that. But then I go back into the, okay, yeah, we cool, we did it, we alchemized it, we did it, you know? And I try to keep it cute and sweet. Sometimes it drags out, but usually that's if I'm ignoring it. If I don't ignore it, then it's cute and sweet, which is so great. Like, I love that for us. I love that for bodies. I love that for human beings. I love that for energy. Like, bruh, cute and sweet to the point. Feel it, get it out, move the fuck on, right? But when you're like, I don't want to deal with that, that's when it gets bigger. I didn't like that. That was definitely off something, off note, off key. I don't know, but it definitely was something. But yeah. So the message was that like, bruh, could literally be. You have so much that you can give to others, but you don't have to. And only if your cup is full can you give more. Medicine in a cup. Ocean potion. But yeah, so I'm gonna just get distracted because it tastes good. Oh, so I went to this, like, I usually go there. This is a man I haven't seen before, right? And he said his name is John. That's my grandfather's name. And when I was at the event, somebody had like a Beatles shirt, and I was talking about my papa a lot. So I was like, is there pictures of my papa? No, they're on the other. But yeah, so anyways, just talking about him, right? Doing my cute little joke of like, oh, my grandpa's John Lennon, not that one, right? Because they had a Beatles shirt, whatever. So we do that, and then I see John, right? I see John, 555. I see John at the light, and he was saying that like his scooter got stolen or something, and they took the money out his pocket, and all of this, and he was trying to justify how he would spend the money to me, and I'm like, man, as long as you do it to better your life, right? Whatever you view as better, that's cool to me. If you really dope sick and that next fix is gonna make it better, and that's your perspective, you know, sometimes you gotta do crazy things. Not crazy, but sometimes you have to do harmful things, like in active addiction, just to be able to feel like you can eat, like so you can stomach food, right? Like that's how bad withdrawals are. So like whatever makes it better, you know. I've been releasing that judgment a lot. That was something that I was like, I don't want them to use it for that, because I had things unhealed in me, and I think like through my own path of sobriety, I felt a lot better with that. But yeah, not that I was doing anything like that, but still, I think like just in general, me understanding my relationship to substances has given me the clarity that I needed for that. And I actually was talking to my friend about that earlier today. Wow. But like, yeah, thinking about like everybody's reaction to different substances and how they feel on that. And I feel like sobriety is something everybody should try, right? You don't need to commit to it, right? And even like in the idea of like mystical sobriety, right? That's what I'm gonna call it. I don't know what it's called. Some people call it like California sober. I don't necessarily call it that. I would just say like generally living dry, right? That's what they call a campus, right? Dry campus, wet campus, whatever. But like generally living dry. But like, say you got invited to something and blah 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 blah. Right, like what is it? Oh, you got invited somewhere and it's your promotion or some shit, or like some like big freaking occasion, and they pop in champagne. You're not gonna drink that? I think the example was like, oh, like if your father's dying and he wants to have like a scotch on the rocks with you, or you're not gonna drink that, which that's not a me problem, but you know, in general, it's like a case by case. It's understanding that the relationship to the substance doesn't need to be as dire, right? This isn't what I was going to talk about, but this is what's coming out. But it doesn't need to be as dire, right? Like you can just be. And if you feel called to use it, then you need to observe why you feel called and for what reasons, and understand that part. And I noticed that I would use like specifically alcohol to escape. And so if you're noticing that you're like trying to run away from something, right? Because like I said, your body be feeling it. So your body comes out here, it has this emotion, right? And the emotion is like, I'm here. And then you're like, you know, then you're like, no. And they're like, actually, I'm here. You're like, no, you're not. And then if you sit with it, be like, hey, whatever, right? Then that's cool, right? But if you're not, if you're like, what the fuck? Get away from me. It's gonna take longer for it to pass because now you're pushing it away. The time and the effort that it takes to push it away could mean that you could have dealt with it, right? Maybe not all those like deep-seated, like, you know, like the tough knots that we have to work through and untie, like the tangled necklaces of trauma that's way back, whatever, right? Like, you could untie one knot at a time and all that, and like pull them through the links, whatever. That's one thing. But what I'm talking about is like when you just have like an emotion pop up, right? Even if it is linked to a deeper story, like it's not about the story, it's about what you feel in that moment, right then. And it was just really interesting, because it was weird, right? I'm looping all over the place, so bear with me. But catching up with that man, and he was telling me his story, he's reaffirming what's going on for him right now and like the struggle that he's in, right? And I'm like, oh, that's like, I'm sorry. He asked if I had any cash, and I felt bad because I had cash in my wallet yesterday, but I tipped somebody when I like got food. And so 11:11, and you know, I don't know, it was something in me was like contemplating it, because he was like, there's an ATM over there, and like at first, like my brain was just loading, because I was like, I didn't know the ATM he was talking about, and so I was like, because I was like, even though I live like near here, whatever, it was just like, what ATM are you talking about? Because I only know the ATMs that link to my banks. I don't know like random ATMs, you know. And so I'm like, okay, my bank is kind of far though. Like I don't know if I could drive to my bank and drive back, and it would be enough time. Like he probably would be gone, right? And someone was like, how do I get cash back? And I was like, that was the best option, right? And I'm like, oh, I can go to the market, right? And the market has flowers, and I was like, oh my god. Also, they're mad expensive, for some reason, like the price of whatever. So I was like, okay, I could get that because I wanted to get myself flowers, and then I could do it. But then I was like over here, and I was like, are you sure? Because like that seems kind of dumb, right? Not dumb, like I don't want to affirm dumb, but 222. But yeah, so 1222. That's how you say numbers. But so yeah, it wasn't really that. It was just more so like I literally I just was like judgmental of myself, because I'm over here trying to like, I wanted to get my flowers. I was trying to do something good, nice for somebody else, and I made it more complicated by trying to get my flowers, right? Because then I'm like over here picking the flowers, reading the price tags and stuff, because I'm like, I just was confused because it said one number, but then it rang up as more, and I was like, that's so much work. And I was like, I don't really care enough to ask them about this, because it's like $1, right? On both bouquet things, so it's like $2. And I was like, what? And I'm like, this is so much. And I'm like, but if I do that, then like, will my cash back be less? And my brain was just like doing the most, right? And I go and I check it out, whatever, bring it out, and then I'm like, and bro, I left my wallet in the store, or in the car, right? And so I go and tell, because I'm at the self-checkout, so I go and tell, oh, I left it at the store, I left it in the wallet. Oh my god, I left the wallet in the thing. Anyway, long story short, because apparently I'm not supposed to say all this, but I go back, they're not there, right? And then I was like, okay, let's get something, what's essentials, right? Because I was like, as I'm going to as I'm taking my walk, I'm thinking, and I'm like, yeah, why are you trying to make this about you? Like, you could just buy yourself flowers. It doesn't need to be right now, right? And I was like, that way you could do it in a time where it's leisurely, where you're not worried about like how much time it's taking and stuff like that, and like what else could bless this man in his life right now, you know? And I was like, okay, maybe a little chocolate, right? I feel like sweets, everybody likes sweets. And I have like bags in my car of like random like non-perishable foods that are like shelf stable stuff that like is actually like granola bars, nuts, whatever. So I was like, I know I have like good food, but like what's something that would be like fun, you know? It's like sweets. And I got a water bottle, because I don't have water bottles because they freeze in the car. But yeah, and I don't use water bottles because I have my big one. But yeah, and so I do that, and I do all of this, right? I'm just going through all this contemplation, and it's weird. It's weird how much that, like, my dad said that he'd be like, oh, like, doing something nice for somebody is still selfish because it makes you feel good, right? And I don't know, like, looking at that, right, and taking that in, it's like, yeah, it does kind of make me it does kind of make me selfish just a little bit. And I was going into the more, like, because I was like, what would I get at the store? And I'm like, oh, well, I wanted to get myself flowers. That's a good, like, that was just like the oop. And I was like, you're at the store because you're gonna bless somebody. And, like, when I'm gonna be real with you, this is the part, right? So I'm gonna be real with you. When I was walking back to the car, I was like, do I really need to be here right now? Like, I could just go home, right? And it was like, it was just because it was like the extra step of leaving the wallet that then made me feel less invested. Because I was like, is he still gonna be there? Because usually if I loop around, like, if like the light doesn't work, whatever, and I loop around, it's like a 2-minute thing. But I was like, this is taking a long time now. I don't have time blindness, so to me that took like 30 minutes. And so I was like, is he still gonna be there? Because sometimes you go back and they're not there, right? And so I'm like, am I gonna, like, do this and then have the cash and then he's not gonna be there? Which is not a bad thing. It just means my money is in a physical form, not in an electronic form. Like, that's it. That's not a bad thing. And I, like, literally I would go to get my wallet and I'm like, should I just get in the car? And I was like, should I do it? And they were like, do it. And I'm like, okay. And so, like, should I still do it? And they're like, you better. Basically, like, I don't know whose voice that was, if it was my ancestors, if it was God or the universe, but I was like, should I still do the thing? And they were like, you better. And I was like, okay. And it's mad funny because, like, when I was driving back home, I got the message, right? I got the real message. I hope this was, like, not as confusing as I feel like I'm telling it. It was confusing for me, though, in that, like I'm trying to do this thing for somebody, right? And I'm like, I'm having my own personal contemplations on it, right? And it's, like, also, like, a moral standpoint to me. I'm like, if you don't do this, are you the type of person that you say you are, right? Like, 17. That's interesting. Let's see what that one is. But, you know, like, what I mean, like, that, do you live up to your own expectations kind of thing? Like, it was just a weird, like, are you sure you know what the fuck you're talking about, right? Do you know who you are, right? A positive sign signifying personal and spiritual growth, encouraging you to embrace new beginnings, trust your intuition, and focus on your inner wisdom, while reminding you to practice self-love and acceptance. Essentially, it's a message to the universe that you are on the right path. Isn't this what all the angel numbers say? I'm joking, but remember, you are never alone on this journey, and the universe is always conspiring in your favor, right? So yeah. And I was just like, I came from an event, I was tired already. I felt motivated to go to the event, and Spirit told me that. And I was like, I didn't want to go nowhere today. I wanted to stay in my house. And they were like, no, go. And I'm like, okay. And so I don't know what I did, but I did something. And I don't know if I went to that event to come back and leave that event early to be at the exact time just to meet this man. Like, if that's why they wanted me to go, because otherwise I wouldn't have met the man. Because he was on the side of the street that, like, I had to have been coming from somewhere to be able to see him, right? And it's just interesting. Because I'm like, why did I have to leave the house today? And if it was just to bless that one man, right? I mean, you bless people with your presence every day, right? Yes, you do. You bless people with your presence every day. But, like, think about, like, that one little moment, right? That one little moment with somebody. And, like, I don't know, like, that $20 is definitely not gonna get him a new scooter. It could work its way up to it, but that's definitely not gonna get him a new scooter. Hopefully I gave him enough food that he, like, doesn't have to spend it on food for right now, you know, at least, like, for at least 24 hours, right? It's like protein shakes, whatever, like, you know, things like sustain, like, I feel like protein sustains you longer compared to, like, sugar. Like, sugar's fun and everyone likes sugar, and it's kind of like one of those, like, some of those things people will only give, like, the bland, like, boring things when they, like, donate to people. And it's like, what's something that's gonna make somebody happy? Like Dum Dum lollipops, or, like, I don't know, like Kit Kat, like some sort of, like, candy thing, like something that would be like, oh my god, and you're excited because of it. But yeah, and maybe I put way too much thought into it, right? Maybe I put way too much thought into it. Maybe I'm just like thinking way too much, and that's okay. But I just really, that was like a crazy. Oh, but so the real message came through, right? As I was overthinking it, right? Overthinking. I don't really believe in that term, but that's what humans want to call it. But I think the right amount. Personally, I think the right amount, but for everybody else, nah. You know, everyone thinks in different capacity, and I've been like being more inquisitive about like asking people how they think and what they think about, and like specifically also to understand this more. But we all think in so many different ways that like literally like you can't even say somebody's overthinking. Like you literally don't understand the concepts that happen in their brain. So if your brain couldn't hold that capacity, that has nothing to do, right? And oh my god, that sounds like I'm being like rude and calling you dumb, but like that has nothing to do with that person, right? Like they're thinking in their regular way, you're thinking in your regular way. There's no over, there's no under. Nobody says you're underthinking. Nobody says you're not thinking enough, you know? Maybe they do, but yeah. But okay, so I was thinking about this a lot and like just like going through all of it, and I was like, this is so strange, and like I could feel different parts of my body like light up as I was doing this, and like so there was like resistance happening physically in my body when these stories came up of like what I should do or what I shouldn't do, right? Like it was an interesting, it was a lot. When I actually like gave him the stuff and like then left, like I could feel like a lot of ease in my body because it was no longer like an issue. You know when they like be like, oh, you now have a ticket? It felt like I had a ticket open. So this man asked me if he could have some cash, right? I didn't have any cash on me, and I was like, and I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I can go get cash. And then halfway through I'm like, don't want to. Then I'm like, yes I will, you know? And so like it just continuous pending, like two and or two until I did it. It was still pending, and so once I did it, it was like, oh, you figured it out, right? And that's when the download came of what it was. I wanted my flowers before I even did the good deed. And if I bought myself flowers, then he wouldn't have had water. And I think what Hershey Kisses is what I bought, right? And like water's more important than the kisses, but still, you know, if I hadn't bought it, what would that have done? You know, what would that have done? That water could really save somebody's life, you know. That $20 could really save somebody's life too, you know, especially when it's cold out here like this. But yeah, it's just so interesting because it was like the message was like, you were trying to get your flowers first, like we're gonna bless you, don't worry about that, bless this man first. And I was like, oh, okay, I got you. But like I was just getting too caught up in it. I was just getting too caught up in it. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's just interesting. That's all I can say. It's been a very tiring day. And I'm gonna relish in the silence until my neighbors start partying because they told me they were going to, which I appreciate very much because I was like, bro, they keep partying on Sunday nights because people keep having birthdays, which is cool, but then it turns me into a bitch because I need sleep and I've been icky. So I'm like, I don't want to be like that, bro, but I'm sick. I was having illnesses, so grr, I want sleep, and I have a lot of things to do tomorrow. But yeah, I'm excited to go back to life, back to reality, back to life, back to reality. I don't know if this was more of like a message or if this was just like a story time, but it feels like somebody needed to hear it somewhere. Maybe I just wanted to tell it. But yeah, I love the end result is, don't worry, you'll get your flowers. But maybe that's what I'll call the video. Maybe that's what I'll call it. I be like confused on what to name these shits. I need to stop swearing so much. Also, book me. No, don't, cause I like doing it for myself. And I don't have my license. But I did it myself. That's why I said that. I don't know if that was clear. So I needed to do it because that's where my little dance was like hee hee. Because I'm excited because I did it. Whoa. I hated that so much. That scared me. Bye bye. I love y'all. Chaotic ass message.